Upon Animal Well's release, Dunkey decided to make a video where he had quite a lot to say about the game. He even described it as
a mysterious Animalvania and the first ever open world type game.
He also put a very large emphasis on
no hand holding, nobody telling you what to do or how to play. You choose which way you want to go, you choose which tools you're going to use, and you decide how you're going to use them.
There's also this iconic line where he described it as
the lasagna video game.
Is Dunkey telling the truth? Is Animal Well really like this? Is it as good as he says? Well, there's only one real way to find out, and that's where I ask you to join me today as I document my first ever dive into the well to see just how deep it goes. Just as my journey begins, I wake up out of a plant in a strange place, greeted by a squirrel in a very beautiful environment. After chasing after the squirrel, I found myself in a beautiful new room with flowing waters and a very distracting lantern that I apparently couldn't quit playing with. The absolute last thing I thought I would find would be a phone, but I did, and I made sure to call my mother right away. It was at this moment I decided to go right. No, what are you doing? Don't go left. Go right. I went right. Yes. No. What are you doing? Go right. No. God damn it. Go. So I went left. And of course, the first thing I do is start playing with the crank. Eventually, I stopped toying around with the crank and actually made my way across, only to be stumped by a door. Lo and behold, there was a secret tunnel the whole time. I continued pushing forward, moving aside all of these dang mines. Look at them all, they're crazy. And all of a sudden, I realized I'm back at the crank. And somehow I still managed to fall in the water? After drying off, I decided to pretend I was a rabbit and hop across to the next room for some reason, where I was quickly greeted with an apparition who decided I wasn't allowed to touch the crank. I wasn't happy with this, so of course I went back, past the spirit, and continued onward. Admittedly, this part of my journey is quite simple and not too exciting, but hang on to your buns because I promise you from here on out, it's only gonna get crazier. I managed to open the door, and wouldn't you know it, I still missed the jump. Upon entering the next room, I noticed these little red flowers, which turned out to be firecrackers. I couldn't have been more excited. Firecrackers? Whoa! More firecrackers. So you know what I did with the firecrackers? I decided to throw my explosives at a duck. And it didn't like that, surprisingly. Who would have guessed? Unfortunately, that wasn't the only time I threw explosives at a poor innocent animal. I'm so sorry I'm like this. I want you to focus on my character and only on my character. Do not look away from my character. I didn't see it. You didn't see it. And we're gonna continue on with our lives. Whatever you do, do not rewind. Do not go look at it. It's not there, it's not real, and it can't hurt us. Instead, what we are gonna do is show how awesome chinchillas are. Look, you can even get on its head to get up to the chest. How freaking cute is this? They just follow you around and act like they're your homies. All right, let's talk about what we saw back there. You're right, it was hedgehogs, and this one happens to be stuck in a maze-type contraption that I can actually manipulate to have him touch these buttons, which will then unlock a door that'll take me to this capybara room? This is easily the most calm room in the whole game, so I went ahead and called my mom and let her know how I was doing. I needed some more violence in my life, so I decided to throw more explosives at wildlife, which actually worked in my favor this time, as the chinchilla eventually was able to drop off a chest for me, so that was sick. I may have gotten a key to a door, but this chinchilla will forever have the key to my heart. Upon hitting the switch, I wasted no time jumping down a well where I had no idea where it would go, and lo and behold, it took me to a room I've already been to before, where there was another switch, and I unlocked a new door, where I quickly ran to the room only to be greeted with this. And who should happen to greet me as I cross over into the next room? That's right, the demon iguana of my dreams. And he wasted no time turning me into lizard poop. I knew if I wanted to continue forward, I was gonna have to overcome my nightmare. Luckily, I had a friendly chinchilla to help me out, although admittedly he's not the fastest. Also, I should note that the chameleon does this, which is just a vile and disgusting thing, but goddamn if I don't love the sound effect. I was able to unlock the door after narrowly avoiding the chameleon sticking his tongue in between my cheeks. This led me into a much smaller room with only a ladder, but the ladder did take me into a new room which had a chest, and inside the chest is one of my favorite tools we actually got in this dive. That's right, it's a slinky. Everybody loves a slinky, 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 go slinky go! Having unlocked the doors, I decided to dive down into the unknown, only to land somewhere I've actually been before. Now, with my newfound slinky powers, of course, I managed to go ahead and solve this puzzle very easily. After some sightseeing and some traveling, I did find myself in a brand new room with all sorts of weird, creepy things that I thought I could get rid of with a firecracker. But that did not work out. Turns out throwing explosives at everything will not solve your problems. I then found myself in a new room with these weird platforms that would move up when you stand up on them. What on earth could these be used for, I was thinking. Did I need a booty lift? No, my booty is sufficient, so why would these exist? Of course, the platforms weren't for booties, they're for slinkies, and now that I had this amazing slinky power that I have to use responsibly, I did use it to open a door for myself. A little selfish, but needed. This would eventually lead me to a new room that unfortunately I couldn't figure out anything to do in the moment except for call my mom and tell her how I was doing. Once I did that though, I did go exploring and found a secret tunnel that led me to these monkeys? And then they started throwing like pebbles at me? What is this? Hey, quit it! What are you doing? And then I found a chaos egg, and I got an achievement for it. I felt so rewarded for exploring. I eventually came across this weird room with this giant peacock sitting at the top of it. Of course, my natural instinct was to throw firecrackers, because that's how I solve all things. Clearly, I needed more eggs to progress here, so I moved on, and I found these two, very ominous cranes just walking around, and then every now and then they would do that, and it was kind of cool. And then I found this crazy statue that would vomit up musical water. And then I found out I could turn the switches to get the water to bounce correctly and fill up this one tower, and then that let me pass through. Things were starting to pick up as I went from room to room to room. I even found this room with all these bubbles in it, and I used it to get across to the next one, which then had these platforms with little whales on it. It's actually kind of adorable. But of course, my instinct was to treat it like a trampoline and think it would do something. After not doing something like everybody kind of figured, I did go back to the bubbles where I rode one down and found all these fish popping up, just spitting out the bubbles. One fish, red fish, two fish, blue fish, boop, boop, boop. They weren't just random bubbles, they're the bubbles that these fish were making, and it made the world feel so much more lived in. I officially had a way to turn on the whale platforms, and now I could actually use them as a semi-trampoline. It wasn't really bouncy, but it did give me the lift I needed to hit all the buttons and unlock the door to the next room. At one point I came across this whale stuck in a pipe. I didn't really know how to help him, so I continued forward, where I was freaking ambushed by this giant seahorse monster that would blow bubbles at me. Originally, I thought he was trying to attack me, and then I realized he's actually trying to help me. At least that's what I'm telling myself. I then used the bubbles to hit all the buttons, which then let me go through the door and get the bubble wand, which of course lets you create your own bubbles to get up to higher places. Keep eating the bubbles. Keep eating the bubbles. What? Oh! Where am I going? The whale's pipe-like intestines eventually dropped me off into a place with a bunch of whales where I would have to solve a puzzle to get to another chest. After getting the chest, I found myself getting back to this room with the Gigantamax cranes in it. With my newfound bubble powers, I was able to make it across, but then I realized I had to make it all the way back. If you have a keen eye, you may have been able to pick up on the fact that my heart is constantly at 1, even after eating the fruit. That's because I've failed this one so many goddamn times. After surpassing the cranes, I of course came to this room with some sort of hellfire crow. As soon as it gets vision on me, he starts blasting me with a fire. Side note, now that I'm seeing it in post-production, I do realize that the fire effects, or the smoke effects rather, look really awesome. But goddamn, what is up with all the birds in this game trying to brutalize me? It wasn't until I entered this very room where I realized that birds were the least of my concern. Upon taking the disc, I summoned a wolf spirit that would chase me around no matter how much I freaking ran. You can see I panic and I try so hard to get away from it, but unfortunately it does take me at least once. Sends me right back to my mother. Unsatisfied with that, of course, I did try again and again and again. This particular time, I did make it quite far. Please God, just give me some time. Oh my God, please, I just gotta keep going. Bubbles, help me. No, I can't get up the platform. Oh, okay, there we go. I even came across a normal dog, but he didn't like me very much, so I kept running. Now I found myself in a dark room, cornered, unable to find my way around, just guessing as to where I'm going. Whatever animal god is listening to me, please give me a sign, show me the way. Ooh, a firecracker, I'll take that. No, not a spirit, that's not the sign I was looking for. Oh, there's a candle, I can use my match. Oh, it didn't get rid of it. Oh, but at least I can see. Okay, I gotta go down. Okay, keep going, go. Just focus on the pretty lights. Don't bother me with the crank. Oh God, no, don't touch me. Here, boy, go play with the Frisbee in the hole. No, don't jump at me. I'm your friend. What are you doing? I ran. I crossed platform after platform. I ran through tunnels. I threw more firecrackers, hoping it would distract him, only to turn around and have him still chase me as I ran through even more tunnels. For some reason, every other dog also wants to kill me. I don't know why. What I did to these poor creatures, I don't get it. But what I do know is there was a chest waiting for me at the end, which had a mock disc. Now I officially had the Frisbee. But just as I had earned a Frisbee, the wolf had some friends join him. I quickly ran to the next room only to come across a new wiener dog? I found a secret hole and I started burrowing right away. Thinking I was safe from one dog while the wolf chased me, I quickly realized something deeply horrifying. The wiener dog was still chasing me in the most disturbing way possible. He was like one of the worms from Tremors and he got me. Fortunately, I did already unlock the Frisbee, so now I could actually go and play with man's best friend. Of course, I quickly learned you can actually do a lot more with the Frisbee than I originally thought, like using these two switches to get me up into the next room. You can even do something that I didn't even mean to do originally, but once I found out you could do it, you best believe I was doing it all the time. Frisbee surfing has to be one of the most exciting things I've done this far. I also found that you can throw your Frisbee against the chinchilla and it'll just push him along. Doesn't hurt him, I promise. After collecting enough eggs, I went back to the colorful turkey and wouldn't you know it, a freaking door opened up, man. Past the sleeping chinchillas was a chest holding an animal flute. I finally had my own ocarina and it woke animals up? How would this help me? After fiddly-faddling about for a while, I learned that the animal flute can open up these weird bird animal head things on the wall, and that would transport me to this room. Incredible. I love it so much. Of course, I did learn that you can use the animal flute to open all of the heads. And this would transport you to rooms where the head was connected, essentially allowing for a fast travel between places. Oh, holy shit! Jesus Christ, watch out! Oh my god, you should not put explosives near me. Slowly being digested, I made my way to the whale's butt. It took hours. Felt like days. Wasn't sure if I was ever gonna be pooped out or not. It just kept going. Okay, seriously, what the fuck? It just keeps going. Stop! Just poop me out already! After wriggling my way through the whale's intestines, I found another whale, but he had some sort of contraption with what looked like a wavelength on it. It didn't take me long to figure out that I was using this to try and communicate with the whale. If I'm going to be traveling through the whale's digestive system, I might as well learn how to talk to him. Overly excited about learning how to talk to whales, I had to make sure to call my mom and let her know. And then I said, "Peace, Mom," hung up the phone, and then basically did this game's equivalent of a kickflip. And that kickflip? Yeah, it led me to a forbidden egg, no big deal. And then I stumbled across two good boys sharing a Frisbee. Unfortunately, they didn't accept my Frisbee as a token, so I left. And then I found myself in a room full of floating ghost heads. I think they're mice? Maybe I should have stayed with the dogs. Oh god, they're multiplying and they're in zigzags. What is happening? At this point, I was just so confused. I did happen to notice, however, that the light has an effect on the heads. And this wouldn't be the only time this light affects something. I met these cool birds who decided to help me, which was a nice change of pace considering all of the birds so far have been pretty awful. And then I met this ghost mouse that quite literally made me squirt fecal matter into my goddamn underwear. And if you thought that was weird, wait till you see his party trick. Seriously, what is wrong with these animals? I finally came across an animal that wasn't trying to murder me or doing something weird with its head for the first time ever. Instead, he just kind of played this game of keep away with me, and it was kind of adorable. I did try to serenade him with some music, but it didn't work. Serenade? Wait, is that the right word? Oh, Jesus, I totally forgot about the party pigeon. I hate this thing, man. If you think he walks weird, wait till you see his head game. Oh my god, why does he do that? No, it's not okay. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, don't move, don't move, don't move. He can't see you, he can't see you if you don't move. Oh fuck, run! After barely just escaping from Satan's favorite goose, I found myself falling down a big hole. And wouldn't you know it, it took me to the strangely most beautiful place I've been to. And this eventually led to a room with a chest which contained a yo-yo? Oh, hell yeah! And like any kid does with a yo-yo, I just started flinging that shit around, hoping it would do something cool. I eventually did this really cool trick, which I now call the ball dipper. It wasn't long before something caught wind of my cool-ass yo-yo and decided I wasn't allowed to have fun anymore. Why does it make so many awful sounds? God damn it, Billy Basso! Why couldn't you have just kept this one buried deep inside? Fortunately, I'm very stubborn and not a lot can stop me from exploring, so I kept going. I found this weird room with all these elevators that kept trying to crush me. And at one point I even nearly fell to my death hitting spikes, but I survived just in time. I was so close to getting it, so close, I just had to keep exploring a little bit more. I nimbly crossed through the Hall of Crows, making sure not to step on any red buttons. At this point, I had become a master of all my tools, the slinky included. I knew I could easily surpass this puzzle and not hit the red button. After After being brutally harassed by the Crow gang, I decided to go relieve some stress by playing with the friendly neighborhood otters. God, they're so cute. I even decided to take my chinchilla for a walk. It was all fun and games until some dumbass dropped himself down into the chameleon pit. Luckily, I wasn't alone this time. I had a bunch of hedgehogs here with me. Unfortunately for them though, that did result in me kinda using them as bait. You see, chameleons can't really digest hedgehogs. After eating too many, he decided it was time to back the fuck on up. At last, I had finally done it. I finally got a flame. This is unfortunately the part where I really should have been satisfied with my achievement and called it a day. But unfortunately, I decided to push my luck. And I ventured further, deeper than I've ever gone before. This Castlevania mother sucker has to be the most terrifying creature in the entire game. Fortunately, my explosive nature finally came in handy as I was able to dispel him with firecrackers, sending him flying back all the way down to the bottomless pits of Billy Basso's mind. After defeating the spawn of Dracula, I was feeling a bit fatigued. I continued to travel a little bit further, but finally decided it was time to return to the surface. Having survived my first dive into the animal well, what are my thoughts? To be honest, I'm quite impressed. Everything Donkey said was actually pretty accurate. The game has quite a lot of horror elements. It feels pretty infinite. Literally, I feel like I only scratched the surface, and yet, as you can tell from the footage, I have been anywhere and everywhere. Here isn't a literal picture of my map by the time I was done with my dive. I still feel like there's so many mysteries, so many secrets to be found, and I can't wait to see what the community does with it. Overall, I'm really happy to say this game is just as good as Donkey said it was. And I know I keep giving credit to Donkey for being accurate with his video, but really I should be giving more credit to Billy Basso for creating such a beautifully well-made game. This is definitely a game to remember and a huge success for Billy Basso and BIGMODE. I can't wait to dive back into Animal Well and see just how many layers this big fat lasagna game has. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, subscribe, and do all that fun stuff. I will see you in the next one.